Yo, what is up, YouTube? What's up, yo? How are y'all doing tonight? We are making electronic components. Y'all get to hang with me at my desk. This is what we're making. Right now I'm working on this part. It's the stump switch part. Wish I could get a camera angle of this side. It's where all the interesting stuff happens. But then I couldn't see y'all. There we go. This is a true bypass switch. Of course, there's some other things that go into it. But this is your in and this is your out. So when you're in bypass, the signal goes from here through this wire, through this switch, and then out the other side, thus bypassing the pedal. I am making a distortion pedal, well, an overdrive pedal. This one is pretty cool because if you look real close, there's this little guy and it's a vacuum tube. So if you like your hair being all over the place, this is the tube that we use. Back in the 80s, unfortunately those tubes aren't in production anymore, so once they're gone, they're gone. So if you play harmonica and you want a harp attack pedal, you better get one, because they will not be around much longer. I'm not quite sure how many of those tubes we got left, but not many. But they're really cool. Those tubes nearly last forever. They got thousands of hours worth of time. I'm building an effects pedal. Right now, I am soldering these switches, which will be this part right here. So you can hit it with your foot. You plug your mic in here, plug this into your amp, 18 volts here, and it's a distortion pedal. No, it's an overdrive pedal, excuse me. It overdrives this tube right here, and this just puts it in bypass and takes it out of bypass. Pretty neato, like a Cheeto. Smoking them good fumes is what I'm doing. I also see my wire machine at work. That thing's pretty cool. It cuts the wires to certain lengths and then strips the ends, so I don't have to. And then you dip them in solder and you're done. Yeah, I'll do that. Here's one that I've just completed. So these are your input jack. This is the input jack. This is your output jack. And stomp the switch. And how I got it wired, when you hit it in one position, the signal goes through this wire, then through the board, and then out of this wire. The other position, it just goes straight through the switch and bypasses the board. So when you're on stage and you're jamming out and you want that sound, you click it, boom, it's there. You can click it again and back off of it. That's how most guitar effects work. They either do it like that or they use MOSFETs to switch. Oops, that's what I'm doing. But I really like these. These have a good feel to them. Whew. And this is a stereo jack. And what's pretty neat is the way we use it is, let me get a jack and I'll show you. We basically use a mono jack and a stereo, a mono plug and a stereo jack, and we use the ground plane because this and this is both touching the ground. We use this as the on switch. So when you unplug it, it's off. You plug it back in, it's on. So we're using the ground of the jack here, the cord in, cable in, as the switch. So if you ever see those, pimp alert, no pimps here. So if you ever see those power supplies that claim to be isolated, they very well may be. But as soon as you use more than one pedal together, the grounds are no longer isolated. So if you have like 4 effects pedals back to back and you're running an isolated ground power supply, you spent that extra money for the tone. As soon as you connect those pedals together in a chain, you've connected all the grounds together, and thus your power supply is no longer isolated. Because if the pedal's built right, the case is going to be grounded, connected to ground to provide shielding. And what's the point of an isolated ground? I don't know. It's silly marketing. There's so much stuff in the art music world that's just nonsense. My favorite one is people who freeze tubes to get that special tone. You're paying money to damage your tubes is what you're doing. The only way you're going to hear a difference between one tube or the other is if it's cheap. Not necessarily a bad thing. Or it's broken. These are what I'm talking about. This is a Russian version of a 12AX7. They require a little bit different wiring to work. They also use a 6-volt tube heater versus a 12AX7, which can either be 6-volt or 12-volt. But man, you can't tell the difference. Like if I had 2 of these wired up, plugged them in back to back, or 3 of them, or 4 of them, you could not tell the difference. But people swear they can. I did have a tube that I loved. Oh man, it was great. I pulled it out of an old organ, plugged it in my guitar amp. Sounded amazing. Let me tell you why. It was dying. Literally watch this beautiful, perfect tone die. And when I replaced the tube, it never sounded the same. It's because the tube was broken. But musicians will swear they can hear a difference. They'll pay extra money for higher quality tubes. The problem with higher quality tubes is they're held to higher tolerances, and so they're less likely to sound different. And if what you're doing is chasing a particular tone, then what you want are cheap tubes, like lowest quality, bottom of the barrel. And this is why they're all made in the same factory. And what they do is if they have like 5 tubes, they test them, and then the closer to the tolerance they are, the higher grade the tube's going to be at. The farther away from the tolerance it is, the lower the grade the tube's going to be. But that's where the magic happens. So if you buy cheap tubes and then you start A/Bing them back and forth, like you plug one in, play for a minute, plug another one in, play for a minute, then you'll actually hear a difference between one or the other. And it may have a little bit, they may affect the tone a little bit, but not, it's negligible. But if you buy cheap tubes, you can afford 5 compared to 1. It tickles me knowing that there's really only 3 places in the world that make vacuum tubes: China, Russia, and Czechoslovakia. And that's it. The China tubes, I think, are the best quality. My personal opinion. They got tighter tolerances. Again, depending on what you get. So we got the musicians in the crowd tonight. No, I normally do motorcycle stuff. Y'all didn't know I played music, did you? It's a super secret. Y'all can't tell anybody. Can't tell no one, but I am a harmonica junkie. So ready to be done with these. Once I'm done with these, I get to build a different style. These with shorter wires. Oh gosh, it's been a long day. It's been a good day though. I also do Walmart deliveries, and it was slow today until the very end. Then it was like popping. Y'all, I was making some money. But I'll do this when I'm not out doing deliveries. It's a pretty sweet gig. Well, we got any guitar players? The chat. I see we got 30 folks. I don't know what y'all see on your end. But yeah, feel free to talk to me, man. It's so weird just talking to myself. It's like when I do these lives, it feels like I'm talking to myself with people listening. That's what it's like on this end. Smoky. Yeah, I make beautiful solder joints. I love the smell of solder. Love it. Love it, love it. There's something neat to talk about. The steam engine I 3D printed actually works. Sorta. I can't blow hard enough. I'm gonna blow hard. But yeah, I 3D printed that. It was pretty fun. I could do 3D print some more stuff. Oh yeah, I'm sleepy. I really could fall asleep, but I can't until I'm done with these switches. I think the little ones are easier to make because you ain't got those long wires to deal with. So where are y'all at in the world? Man, y'all talk to me. I ain't got nobody talking to me. All these people watching and nobody's talking. So how can I interact with y'all if you ain't talking to me? Just sitting here smoking that solder. It does actually look kind of cool on camera. These lives are a lot of fun to do, though. Get to meet people from all over the world. Isn't that the wildest thing ever? Like, that's how you know you're living in the future. When you could literally take your phone and broadcast, like TV broadcast. Man, it would have been possible. You should look into, like, if you live here in the United States, you should look into what the FCC requires you to have go through to get your license to broadcast. I mean, like, how much money it cost before this technology became a thing. It was insane, the amount of money you had to have to broadcast over the air. And now you got things like YouTube, TikTok, Facebook Live, where you literally can have your own show. No, I'm not an engineer. I just do manufacturing. I mean, I do design things. I guess I could be an engineer, but not an official engineer. Like, I don't have any sort of degree or anything. A YouTube engineer. That's what I'm. Like, I know just enough. What's up, Dad? Good to see you, fella. I know just enough about things to be a little dangerous, but not like a lot. That hair was driving me insane. Had to do something about it. I'll take that as a compliment. Uncle Mike was a cool looking dude. I miss that old timer. He was a hoot. I've actually really missed doing these things. Like, this was my full-time job for a while, for like a couple years, and we did some redesigns. The hair was driving me insane. It was like all up in my face. I can't stand it. But now I get to do it as a part-time gig. Smoking. This is probably my favorite part, though. Let's see. I can't get it to focus. Anyway, I was trying to show you something. My name's on it. Alright, only 3 more of these left. I am making this pedal at the moment. I'm making Harp Attacks. It's an overdrive, vacuum tube powered overdrive pedal. Vacuum tubes are the best. It's a I'm making effects pedals. Making these right here. This is an overdrive. So pretty much how an overdrive works, if you don't know, you take a signal and you shove it in to the circuit and you push a tube, or it could be a transistor, or it could be a op amp, something like one of these little guys, and you push it until it can't accurately reproduce the signal anymore. And what happens is it cuts the top and cuts the bottom off, giving you that distorted sound. It's pretty neat. A lot of guys back in the day, before effects pedals were a thing, they would take their amplifiers and turn them up as loud as they could They turned the gain up as loud as they could to get that overdrive blues sound. But we do it nowadays with pedals because that's a lot easier. I do love me some pedals. Smoky. Those gorgeous solder joint that you can't see because my dumb phone won't focus. But they're beautiful. Just take my word for it. Take my word, and you'll get a star of happiness. Shut up. Oh man, I hadn't seen it yet. I've been wide open all day. Oh man, I'm gonna have to check it out though. As soon as I get done with this, I'm gonna knock off for the night. But if it's a really good one, if you sent me something really cool, you get a gold star. That's it. Get a gold star. So y'all, be on the lookout this Saturday on my show, Motorcycle Madness. Be looking for a live because I'm going to do some hobo camping down at the coast. And I got a church that's going to let me camp on the grounds. It's going to be awesome. I need one more of these. How am I one short? That is so annoying. I am one blue wire short. Firing, my guy. I'm firing my wire maker. Just firing him. He does not get a gold star. Can't believe I gotta go behind him. What is your welding tool? This is a Weller. I do not remember the name brand because I've worn it off. It is a Weller soldering iron. It's adjustable. And it is the bomb. It takes these tips. Well, I normally pull the bottoms out of these or drill them out. What's up, Mount King 69? But yeah, it takes these tips. It's pretty sweet. I love it. I have used this thing for years. 24/7. Yeah, for years. And it pretty much stays on all the time while I got a project rolling. What I really like about it is it will not cool down completely you can turn it off, or you can just let it sit. And if it sits long enough, it will shut itself down. But it will not shut down completely. It'll maintain about 300 degrees. It wasn't too expensive. It was about, I don't know. A couple of years ago, I think I paid $100 for it. I bought it new. I don't know. You just look up Weller soldering irons, find one that looks like mine. But I'll show you the other side of it. That's the other side of it. But yeah, you can set your temperature, and it's pretty sweet. I've used other soldering irons, but I don't know. I mean, and you wouldn't think there'd be much difference between one or the other. Like, it just heats it up. But man, Weller does a really good job of keeping a constant temperature. And that's the big deal. You set the temperature that you want, and you keep a constant temperature. I run, this solder is, I don't even know, 63, 37, and 23 gauge. I run it at 175 degrees, and it seemed there's this feel that I like. I want it to flow good, flow quickly, and then freeze. And once you get your right temperature, you can make that happen. You want to get up to temp and then freeze as soon as you let off. If it's too hot, you got to hold it. And too, if it's too hot, you'll go through tips quicker. Swap it around. That's the rig here. And you always want to keep your sponge fairly wet. So that way when you can do a quick twist, so that kind of cleans the end. It doesn't have to be perfect and shiny. You just want the end that you're working with to be shiny. Let's see if I can get a good view here. That'd be really hard to actually try to... Let's see if I can put something under my phone. I've never had the smoke actually hurt me. But I do have a little fan blowing. And what it does is it blows the smoke away from you, and it doesn't hurt you. I've never had any breathing problems from solder smoke. I really should be working under a hood. There we go. See? Touch it, put your heat on there, you let it flow, and then leave it alone and see how quickly it froze. And some of these, I've had an issue all day with these. Some of these aren't flowing like they should. So here we go. There we go. See how that one's not flowing right? I think it's just got dirt on it. I kind of wonder if these jacks... Ow, that's still hot. Didn't get some sort of coating at the factory. And maybe that coating just got worn off. But if you see a good joint, you're going to have a little bit of solder that flows to the other side, flows to the top. That's really all you need right there. I'll have to cut another piece of wire. Give me just a second.
right. I guess I should have saved the blue wire. Trying to figure out how long it needs to be. I'll just eyeball it with my eyeball. I'm going to say cut it there. All right, and for the life of me, I cannot find my wire strippers. Again, my genius pedal builder lost my wire cutters, and I'm gonna fire that guy. So what I'm gonna do, let's get a razor blade. Just kind of do that. Boop. Probably not the safest way to do wires. Good way to cut your finger. I don't care. Okay. Now we tin it. Hello, Lucy. There we go. Whoop. That was hot. So, I don't know if you can see that. What you do this for is so that way it's easy to solder to. So how I like to do it however you want, whatever works is the best way to do it. I like to put my heat on one side, touch it like that. See how I touch this? Now watch this. Once you get a little molten solder touching that wire, it'll just suck it on in. There you go. You made a wire. These I do a little different. These were done a little differently. I have a solder tank. And I'll dip the end in flux and then dip it in the solder vat. And that's how that's done. That's how I do most of them. That's the easiest way to do it. I'm sure there's a tool maker crying at the thought of what I do to this vise. This was like I didn't pay that much. I only paid $500 for it. But it was like a $1,200 machinist vise. Precision grinding vise. Made by Michitoya. And when I quit doing tool and die work, I didn't want to sell it. Because, I mean, it's a cool vise. Everybody needs a vise. But I didn't really have a use for it. So when I started doing electronics work, I was like, this vise is real handy. And you can put a lot of pressure on your parts with very little effort because these jaws are ground perfectly flat. And they're also hardened. I think they're like 50-something Rockwell. So that you get a really good grip on things with very little effort. All right, here's my trick here. All right, so heat that up, and you can just push this through. Boop. Look at that. If you got your temperatures right, it freezes quick. think I made that kind of long. Yeah, I'm going to cut that a shade short. Cat's watching me. Bless her heart. She's got a boring life. That's what she's doing. Y'all are also bored watching me work. I don't know. I think this stuff is interesting. There we go. Yeah, that's a better view. So again, what this does for those of you who are just not coming on, when you click the switch, got an input jack, got an output jack. And what this does, it brings the circuit board in and out of bypass, so you'll have some extra wires plugged into these lugs here and this one here. So when you click it, it's either going straight through, out, or it's going straight through the board and then out. Oh, I'm done. I am almost done with these. Boop. It's a lot nicer if you make a noise. Shove that in. Ready? Ready. Boop. Shasha. All right, there you go. That's the last one I'm doing to that. All right, I'm going to do something a little different because I'm kind of bored with that. I want to work on these guys. About had enough of making switches for the night. So this one gets a switch. I already had these made up from like a long time ago. Finally get to use them. So go with these. I think these use all 100K, and they do. So okay. You don't really have to use vice grips for this, but I have them. They're cheap. They really work. So we don't use these locator pins here, so I'll just break those off. And for whatever reason, I've saved them all. It's probably thousands of these pots. I don't really know why I save them. I just do. One day I'm going to make something interesting out of all those little zinc pellets. All right, now for the magic, the delicious magic. All right, so to do this and make it easy, squeeze these. See how I did that? And by doing that, they lock in place. That's what I'm doing. Squeeze them. Lock them in. Make sure they're seated. They don't have to be perfect. Whatever. If I'm building it, it's got to be perfect. And you will see why. Second, I really love this vise. Yeah, I can't work with that. That's not working. Let's move that out of the way. There we go. Now we can both see. Oh, what prize you're going to win? I don't even know how many pellets are in there. Guess how many pellets and win the prize. All right, see what I'm doing there? Touch what you're heating up, and I touch the tip and bring it over. I always heat from the back and solder from the other side. Touch the tip, bring it over. I like to do the center pin first, just so if there's anything that moves, I can see it moving. There we go. And that's what this precision vise comes in handy for, because that's, I mean, you can still kind of move it, but solid. I mean, I can put some real pressure on it. And yeah, this one moved a little bit, but that's still not a big deal. See, this one put a little too much solder here, a little too much there, not quite enough there, but it's fine as long as it looks good on this side. That's all for there. There we go. We can go ahead and attach this too, just because I got 4 of them already made. Get a better idea of how this works. Right. This wire is normally black, but I don't have any more black wire. See what I did there? As long as I know where they go, that's what matters. That one's not wanting to go. There it goes. Now it goes. So now you can see a little bit better what I was talking about earlier. So the signal goes through here. Which is laser. Lasers are fun. Goes through here. That's too bright. Lasers are not fun. Let's use a screwdriver. Goes through here, into the switch. From this pin, it jumps to this pin, then over, then back to this pin. No, that's not right. That's something else. It jumps from this pin to this pin, through the board, then out of this wire, back to this pin, and then out. When you click it in bypass, it comes through here, it goes from this pin straight to this pin, and then from this pin to this pin, and then out. That's how true bypass works. And you could do true bypass electronically with MOSFETs, FETs. Keep calling them MOSFET, they're just FETs. You can do it with FETs, and it's basically the same thing. But I prefer a clunky, old-fashioned switch. There we go. So, this is the ground. And what we do is we use this as a switch. See, this is attached to the case ground. And this is the pin ground. No, it's this pin right here. So this lug is attached to that lug. And I'll run my power, my ground power, from the jack over to this. And when you stick your guitar cord in here, the ground of the guitar cord makes a connection, thus giving the pedal power. And voila, that's it. I'm going to fold this little guy up, stick it in the tray. Okay, next one. Joke for you. So, you are so knock-kneed. Every time you walk across the floor, somebody answered the door. Quality dad jokes from an actual dad. The best dad. From the greatest pedal builder that's ever lived. There we go. And I do have to break these off. There we go. And see what I normally do, I normally don't have these already made up, is I'll do these first, and then once those are done, I'll do it to all the boards, then I'll attach these, but just for y'all's entertainment. And that keeps me from wasting a lot of time opening and closing these jaws. See, all I'd have to do is that little movement right there and go from one to the next. But just for y'all, see how little I'm actually touching there? When your jaws are perfectly flush, man, they just grab beautifully. But for y'all's entertainment, so you can see me doing different stuff and not the same thing over and over. Look at that. I actually like to use bigger solder for these joints, but I just don't have any. There we go. All right, old timer. I'll see you later. Maybe we can talk some of these people into talking while they're being lame, not saying anything. You can go to bed, or you can stay up late and have electronics fun with Steve-O. The greatest technician that's ever lived. There's a guy that fixes computers that says that. I think that's hilarious. I used to love fixing computers. And then iPads came out, and I just said, screw it. I'm not fixing these stupid things. I fixed like one, and that was it. It's like, I'm not doing this. So there's this salty in my heart when it comes to iPads. They ruin my computer future. These don't have to be perfectly aligned. So that one's lifted up a little bit. I'll fix it just because I'm CDO. There we go. When I screw them into the holes that they go in, they'll auto align. really the holes ain't gotta be even in the perfect spots. Okie dokie. So we got anybody on from the Philippines? I get quite a few people from the Philippines come on here and hang out with me. I'd love to go there one day. Here we go. I just need to do electronics projects with y'all. We never seeming to actually watch. Getting some real engagement with you guys. This is how the Lone Wolf Blues Company Heartbreak pedal is made. I love how Randy designs all of the little components to line up with each other. See how those. All right. Let's close this joker back up. So when I'm done with this order, I might just do a jam so you guys can see what this does. Oh yeah, I'm so tired, man. Just a few more minutes. I may let this one be my last one for the night. I'm just too tired. And I'll start making mistakes if I stay up too late. And y'all, mistakes are no bueno. Good night, old lady. It's good seeing y'all hanging out with me. Yeah, mistakes are no bueno. Can't have those. All right, there we go. Let's fold it up and tuck it up. All right, I'm going to do one more. Just because y'all asked me to. Y'all are like, please, Steve, do one more. Please, Steve-o, one more, please. So I got a cool project I'm going to be working on soon. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of hydrogen generators or HHO generators. And basically, you take water, you split it in half, and you get hydrogen and some oxygen. Well, oh, yawn. Oh my gosh. Well, I found that through some experimentation. See that? I'm starting to make mistakes. That's not okay. We fix those mistakes. Yeah, it's a crappy looking joint. Well, let's roll with it. But what I found is when you run, it's also called Brown's gas. When you run straight HHO into a motor, what you end up with is a couple of problems. One, you end up with backfire really bad, which can really cause some problems. You can really get hurt from it. And you're detonating the piston. You're detonating on top of the piston. You're not actually pushing the piston down. You're exploding the piston. And I find it's difficult to make enough brown gas to actually sustainably run an engine, you know, without a crap ton of electricity, like without most of your power going into making the electricity to run the engine. Yeah, there's people who's done it, but it's just not feasible. So I basically just made one, made a little torch, melted some stuff, had some fun with it, and then just kind of blew it off as a novelty project and went on about my life. Blew up some bottles, scared my kids. For the longest time, they were like paranoid about water bottles because I'd fill them up full of hydrogen gas and then blow them up. Funny enough, when I do stuff like that, my neighbors, they don't call the cops. They call me to make sure I'm not dead. Just great. But anyway, so, and I ain't looking to make money off of this. I'm looking just to freaking do it, you know? Why does everything have to be about money? Money's stupid. I hate money. But anyway, so I found out about this chemical reaction between aluminum and water, where hydrogen gas is produced. Hydrogen gas and aluminum oxide is produced. And the only thing you need to do to get this reaction going is to put them together in contact. Yeah, I got a whole tray. Got 2 of these trays. Oh, that's what the camera right. So anyway, I'll say this and I'll wrap up. So the aluminum reacts with water and it yields hydrogen gas and aluminum oxide. I think it's called a single replacement reaction. But the problem with this reaction, my face looks weird. The problem with this reaction is it coats the outside of the aluminum with aluminum oxide and the reaction stops. So, if you had a way to break that oxide layer down, what would happen is the reaction would continue and you would have hydrogen gas. And it's real easy to do. Throw aluminum foil inside of sodium hydroxide, and what happens is just that. The sodium hydroxide breaks down the oxidation layer of the aluminum and exposes the aluminum to water, the water that's in the mixture, thus creating a lot of hydrogen gas, like that. Well, the problem I've had with that setup is it's difficult to control. Because if you really want an on-demand system to run an engine. You don't want to store hydrogen. Hydrogen is very difficult to store. You could store it safely, but it's difficult to store. So it's the smallest element. I can't remember if it's helium or hydrogen that's the smallest, but they're both like one or two protons difference. And so hydrogen is difficult to store. How do you store something that's smaller than everything else? You don't. Not forever anyway. So basically, if you put it in a tank, you're on a time frame until it's all leaked out. That's a bummer. So what I propose to do is I'm going to get some computer heat sinks, which I've already got coming, and it will be a Motorcycle Madness series, these experiments. And what I'm going to do is use the aluminum heat sinks, and I'm going to use both electrolysis and potassium hydroxide, which will eat away at that oxide layer. It will break down that oxide layer, but not as fast as sodium hydroxide. So I'm going to combine electrolysis with inside of a potassium hydroxide mixture of water to kind of be a catalyst for this reaction to happen. And hopefully, if everything works like I want it to, I will have a more efficient, not efficient, but more controllable hydrogen on-demand system. And so we're going to experiment around with that, and one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to fail and learn some things, or I'm going to succeed and learn some things. And instead of having a bunch of plates, we're going to do just a 2-plate setup, because the goal is not to produce the gas using electrolysis. The electrolysis is basically just to help break down that oxide layer. So the potassium hydroxide and the electrolysis is just to break down that oxide layer to expose the aluminum to the water. Thus, that's what's creating the hydrogen gas. And so we're going to play around with that and see what we come up with. Does alternating current work better? Does DC current work better? I don't know, but we will find out. And I want the thing to be simple. I want to be able to stick it in a mason jar and generate hydrogen gas. And if we can do enough of them, if it works well enough, we'll scale it up and see if we can actually power something with it. I personally hate paying bills. This is why I want to do this. I hate paying bills, and I hate power companies. And I was fine with the necessary evil until these douchebags started selling truckloads of electricity to these data centers that I don't want. I don't want a data center. I don't want freaking AI. I don't want to deal with AI. I didn't ask for AI. And so these AI data centers get a discount, and they use obnoxious amounts of power for something that most of us don't really even want. And that irritates me. And so when the demand for a product increases, the price of that product increases. And so let's figure out how to stick it to the power companies. If I can make my own electricity, then I don't need them. How's that sound? And I'm crazy enough to try it. And I'm also crazy enough to try it over YouTube Live, because I don't want to be the only one doing this. There's a lot of other nut jobs out there who would be willing to try these experiments with me and stick it to the power companies, because they suck. Why would you charge me more just so some stupid data center that I didn't ask for, that nobody wants, gets a discount? Screw them guys. I don't need ChatGPT. I don't need AI. Nobody does. So anyway, I need to trim my goatee. Look at that. Look at that freaking shaggy thing. All right, I'm done. I love you guys. There's my conspiracy for tonight. I hope y'all enjoyed my electronics video, my electronics live. We may do more of these. Y'all seem to be somewhat entertained. And ultimately, that's the point of my lives, is to entertain people. I like entertaining people. So we're going to do one tomorrow night. I don't know if it's going to be over YouTube or TikTok. I'm still figuring that out. Probably going to be over TikTok, because I like my TikTok guys. I've got two groups of people in my life. I got my tubers and my talkers. And so we may do electronics live on TikTok and just have some fun. But Friday is where the magic's happening. We are going to do Friday night live Steve-O show, Motorcycle Madness show. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. I don't care. We're doing Friday night live Motorcycle Madness starting at 7. And I'm going to try to find a guest speaker to jump on there with me so we can go live together and have some good conversation. So keep on with that. It will be live over TikTok and YouTube. Still trying to figure out the logistics. I will eventually figure it out. And anyway, we've got good stuff coming. Love you guys. Y'all have a blessed night. Remember that just because you make mistakes doesn't make you a mistake, and the world's a better place with you in it. Even if we do have high electric bills, the world is a better place with you in it. And I love you, and everyone who loves you. And so you should love you too. And that's what's important to me, is that you love yourself. If you can't love you, then how can you accept people who love you? I don't know. But I know when I learned to love me, the world became a nicer place. And you're not the horrible person that you think you are. So anyway, love y'all. Y'all are logging off, so laters.